My phone lit up and buzzed like an angry hornet on the hotel nightstand, yanking me out of a heavy, dreamless sleep in a sterile Austin, Texas room. It was 12:37 a.m. I fumbled blindly, knocking over a half-empty water bottle that soaked the carpet, before my hand found the screen. The notification glowed coldly. Front door opened. My heart slammed against my ribs as I bolted upright, the sheets twisting around my legs. I was 900 miles from my quiet suburban home in suburban Denver, deep in the middle of a week-long client training for my cybersecurity firm. The smart home app stared back at me, matter-of-fact and merciless. No motion sensors triggered inside. No other alerts, just that single door entry. My first instinct was to dismiss it as a glitch, some software hiccup in the middle of the night. But something cold settled in my gut. These systems were reliable. I'd installed the whole setup myself after a neighborhood break-in scare 2 years ago. Glitches didn't usually look this precise. Only one other person had a spare key. My mother, Linda. She dropped by the week before to check on my plants and pick up mail while I was gone. But midnight? That didn't track. I scrolled through the app history, fingers shaky under the harsh blue light. Nothing else. No forced entry. No alarms. Just the door swinging open and, presumably, closing again. The phone buzzed once more, a text from my coworker confirming our morning agenda. Not Linda. I set it down and stared at the ceiling, willing sleep to return. But my mind raced. Memories flooded in unbidden. Growing up, Linda borrowing my clothes, my savings from my first summer job at the ice cream shop, my favorite necklace, always with the same breezy excuse. We're family. Sophia. What's mine is yours, and yours is ours. It sounded generous until you realized the flow was mostly one way. At 32, I was still the reliable daughter. I covered their cable bills when Dad's pension fell short, helped with property taxes on their aging split level, even paid for my sister Megan's car repairs last winter after her latest emergency. In return, they critiqued my long hours, my decision to stay single after a messy breakup, the size of my 4-bedroom house. All that space for one person? Seems lonely, doesn't it? Last month, Megan called begging for help with her kids' summer camp fees. When I suggested scholarships instead of me footing the full bill, the family radio's silence lasted 10 days. I couldn't ignore the alert. By 1 a.m., I was on the phone with Linda, keeping my voice steady despite the knot in my throat. Mom, did you stop by the house tonight? The system says the front door opened around midnight. A long pause stretched across the line. Then her laugh. Too light. Too practiced. Oh, sweetie. That app must be acting up again. You know tech better than anyone. Probably just a false positive. Her deflection landed like ice water. I screenshot the timestamped alert and saved it in a hidden folder I'd quietly started months ago. Evidence of little inconsistencies. Half-truths. Forgotten promises. Protection. Maybe. Proof I wasn't imagining things. That's odd, I replied evenly. It's never glitched like this before. She cleared her throat. Speaking of which, Megan's kids could really use new backpacks for school. The old ones are falling apart. And you know how quickly they outgrow everything. Subject change executed perfectly. As always, redirect to Megan's needs. Her 3 children I loved fiercely despite the manipulation. I swallowed hard. I can't swing that right now. Mom. Meetings start at 7. And I'm slammed. The silence that followed felt heavier than any shout. I'd broken the unspoken rule. Sophia provides. No questions asked. We'll discuss it when you're back, she said finally. Disappointment dripping from each syllable. I hung up and lay awake until dawn, replaying every small boundary crossed over the years, The borrowed money never repaid. The guilt trips when I said no. The way they weaponized family loyalty. 2 more days in Austin stretched ahead. Whatever was happening at my house, I would uncover it myself. When the plane finally touched down in Denver, exhaustion clung to me like humidity after a storm. I dragged my suitcase inside, kicked off my heels, and collapsed onto the living room couch with a groan that echoed through the empty rooms. Something sharp jabbed my lower back. I reached under the cushion, expecting the remote. Instead, my fingers brushed smooth, synthetic fabric, lace and mesh. A garter belt? Definitely not mine. I yanked it free, heart racing again. Unease prickled my skin as I reached back in. My hand closed around something firm, unmistakably silicone-shaped. I recoiled, then forced myself to pull it out. An adult toy. Sleek and unfamiliar. Both items dropped onto the coffee table like evidence at a crime scene. My stomach churned, panic rising. I searched room by room. No broken windows. No splintered frames. Everything looked normal at first glance. Too normal. The dishwasher held 3 wine glasses with faint lipstick crescents in shades I'd never worn. Furniture sat slightly off-kilter. A faint, sweet perfume lingered in the air. Nothing like my unscented laundry detergent. On the kitchen counter, near the fruit bowl, a small stack of cream business cards caught my eye. Elegant burgundy circle logo. Harmony Renewal Circle. Handwritten notes on the back in Linda's unmistakable looping script listed dates and times. My mother's handwriting. Scheduling gatherings in my home. The realization crashed over me like a wave. Someone with a key had been using my house as their private venue. Intimate. Paid sessions. Strangers walking through my rooms. Touching my things. Sleeping in my bed. Violation burned through every nerve. This wasn't just unauthorized entry. It was exploitation of my trust. My space. My life. The person I financially supported had turned my sanctuary into her secret side hustle. I sank onto the bathtub edge in the master bath, mind reeling through risks, liability if someone got hurt, legal exposure if activities cross lines, strangers knowing my layout, my photos, my most private corners. My IT expertise kicked in instinctively. Within an hour, I'd ordered discreet cloud-connected cameras with motion alerts and night vision, overnight shipping. The question loomed: confront Linda immediately, risk denial and cover-up, or gather undeniable proof first. A week later, the cameras were discreetly installed in the living room, kitchen, and entryway, no bedrooms or baths. Respecting my own privacy standards, I left on another business trip, this time to Chicago. Nerves raw, but resolve hardening. On Tuesday afternoon, the first alert pinged while I was reviewing quarterly reports in my hotel suite. Linda entered through the front door, glancing over her shoulder like a spy in a bad movie. From my laptop feed, I watched her move through my living room with eerie familiarity, straightening frames I'd deliberately angled, watering plants that were thriving, widening curtains, fluffing pillows into perfect arrangements. This wasn't a quick check-in. It was preparation, meticulous and repeated. Just checking on things? I muttered bitterly to the screen, stomach twisting at the confidence in her steps. The next evening, alerts exploded during a client dinner. I excused myself to the hallway, phone trembling in my hand. 6 strangers filed in behind Linda, carrying duffel bags, wine bottles, and what looked like portable massage tables. They dimmed my lights, connected to my Bluetooth speakers, soft ambient music filling the rooms that were supposed to be mine alone. Furniture shifted, my sofa pushed aside, area rug rolled up. Even my grandmother's antique end table moved without care. A woman in a silk robe lounged on my couch while others changed into lighter clothing. They drank from my glasses, left marks on the stems, handled my graduation photo before setting it face down. I leaned against the restaurant wall, legs unsteady, the humiliation and rage building like pressure in a sealed bottle. Back in my room that night, the live stream became an obsession. Sleep evaded me as they relaxed, touched my belongings, occupied my space. The financial blow landed hardest when Linda collected cash at the door, $50, $70, $100 per person, counted efficiently into an envelope. She was profiting. My mother was monetizing my absence, turning my home into her personal business. How many times before the cameras? Months? Years? The weight pressed on my chest until breathing hurt. During my presentation the following morning, numbers swam on the slides. I stumbled over familiar points, lost my train of thought mid-sentence. My boss noticed. "Everything all right? Sophia? You seem off." What could I say? My mom's running paid intimate gatherings in my house. The absurdity mixed with deep shame. Who could I confide in without judgment about my failure to set boundaries? That night brought the final confirmation. Linda gave a tour to newcomers. "My daughter works constantly, barely uses this gorgeous place. Such a waste for just one person. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. The master has an incredible soaking tub perfect for our relaxation sessions." Her dismissive wave, the proud realtor tone, it solidified something cold inside me. I searched for Harmony Renewal Circle. Their site described paid, sensual reconnection workshops for couples and individuals, exploring touch and mindfulness in private settings. Membership fees far exceeded what Linda collected at the door, suggesting she pocketed the difference or skimmed. Resolve crystallized. I found the non-emergency police line and called. "I'd like to report unauthorized use of my property." Officer Ramirez listened carefully as I explained the cameras. The footage. Linda's key. "Miss Reynolds. Family or not. This is trespassing. Profiting from it adds layers, possible fraud. Being your mother doesn't grant rights to your home." Her straightforward validation lifted an invisible burden. The pattern of small violations had escalated to this. I arranged for her to meet me upon return. My boss requested I extend the trip for a key proposal. 6 days ago, I'd have agreed without hesitation. "Now," I said firmly, "I'm sorry, but I have a critical personal situation at home requiring immediate attention." He blinked in surprise at the uncharacteristic boundary. I compiled a detailed evidence file, timestamps, screenshots of money exchanges, notes on disturbances, saved securely to the cloud. The next morning, an anonymous tip reached the IRS about undeclared income at my address, likely from a disgruntled participant. The ground under my family was shifting. I booked the earliest flight home. Officer Ramirez met me at the house the following morning. Notebook ready. We sat at my kitchen table as I played the footage. She watched strangers settling in. Linda directing traffic. Collecting payments. "You installed these only in common areas after discovering the items," she confirmed. I nodded. "I have every right to monitor my own property." Her eyebrows rose at the scenes, people in various states of undress. Using my space, casually. No permission ever given? Never. My phone rang. "Linda." At Ramirez's nod, I answered on speaker. "Mom." "Sophia." "Honey, there's been a misunderstanding with the police. Just tell them you knew about it. It'll be easier." Knew about what? The words came sharper than intended. A heavy pause. About using the house. It started small with my circle. They needed space. And yours sat empty so often. You work nonstop. Then other groups wanted to rent. They paid decently. I didn't think you'd mind. Especially since you help everyone. Her voice lowered conspiratorially. Some of that money even went toward Megan's kids' expenses. The confession dropped like a stone. Ramirez scribbled notes. Eyebrows arched.
Mom.
An officer is here with me. You're on speaker. Silence stretched painfully. I'll call you later, she said tightly before hanging up. Ramirez closed her notebook. This constitutes trespassing and unauthorized use. Possibly fraud given the rentals. Do you want to press charges? The question hung heavy. Pressing charges against my own mother, would it enforce boundaries or shatter the remaining family ties forever? Some lessons cost dearly. I need time to think, I replied. She nodded understandingly. Her partner helped document damage. Wine stains on carpet. Scratches on tables. A cracked frame. My phone rang again, Linda's friend Margaret from book club. Sophia.
I'm so sorry.
I saw her posts about available rental space, but never realized it was your house. She called it her daughter's investment property. The public betrayal stung deeper. How many knew before me? Dad called next. Princess. Your mother was just trying to help people. The group eased her anxiety. And she wanted to give back. By renting my home without asking? Anger finally broke through. She went about it wrong, he conceded weakly. But her heart was in the right place. I hung up exhausted. An email arrived from a Renewal Circle member apologizing publicly on neighborhood forums for unknowingly using a private residence. Shocked replies flooded in. Ramirez called later. Someone tipped the IRS anonymously about undeclared income tied to your address. Not aimed at you. The family's foundation was crumbling publicly now. Thursday evening at Marazzo's Italian. The red checkered tablecloths and Sinatra's soundtrack couldn't mask the tension. Linda.
Dad.
And Megan waited in a corner booth. Dad waved enthusiastically. There she is. Mom's fingers drummed her glass, eyes darting. You look tired. Honey, Linda said immediately as I sat. Classic concern laced with criticism. Megan squeezed my hand dramatically. So good to see you. Soph. The kids missed their favorite aunt. I hadn't heard from them in months. Dad ordered Kiani, without asking. Our treat after everything. Small talk dragged. Neighborhood gossip. Dad's golf. Megan's kids' activities. 20 minutes in. Megan hinted. Tyler needs braces, $4,000 up front. And Travis is between jobs again. Linda jumped in. We thought you might have finance ideas. Travis isn't between jobs, I said quietly. He posts daily from the country club. Silence fell. Dad's fork paused. That's networking, Megan sputtered. Linda leaned forward desperately. We're family. Sophia. Families help. We needed it for Megan's mortgage notices. The admission landed. So you rented out my house. Dad tried smoothing. It started temporary for the circle. Then expanded. Into a business using property that isn't yours. I finished. Pulling up screenshots calmly. 8 groups. $200 plus per session. Twice weekly since January. Their faces confirmed it. I turned to Megan. Did you know they funded your lifestyle this way? Her cheeks flushed. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I listed everything I already covered. Internet, insurance, groceries, repairs. And you thank me by renting my home to strangers. Linda's mouth worked soundlessly. Dad stared into his wine. You weren't supposed to find out, she whispered. That's your defense, not sorry. But that I wasn't supposed to know. I slid their spare keys across the table. Something snapped in Linda. You live alone in that big house. What are you even doing with all that space? The old wound about my single status stung.
But less now.
That space is mine, earned by my work, my choices. Not yours to give away. Dad placed a hand over hers. We're still your parents. You owe us respect. A surprised laugh escaped me. Respect is earned. You've been withdrawing for years. I stood, dinner untouched. I've changed the locks. Officer Ramirez will be there tomorrow when you return the furniture you moved to your basement. Their shock lingered as I left. Cheryl Winters texted, an ex-participant filing a consumer complaint against Linda. An hour later, Megan called sobbing, Mom can't help with the mortgage anymore. What do I do? Her assumption that I'd fix it still lingered. My realtor friend emailed, neighborhood values up 18%. If you're considering selling, let's talk. Possibility stirred, not just anger, but freedom. 6 months later, morning sun streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows in my new Sedona condo. Nestled against red rocks. Smaller, warmer, intentional, far from the suburban house I'd sold. No more comments about wasted space. The upgraded security glowed reassuringly. My third weekly dinner with neighbors, retired teachers Jeff and Lydia, who listened genuinely. Gallery owner Marissa, who never questioned my solo life. You seem lighter, Marissa had said last week. She was right. I'd shed the heavy expectations I'd carried so long. Linda's name lit my phone. 6 months ago. Obligation would have forced an immediate answer. Now I let it ring. Listening to her voicemail later without urgency. Health concerns about Dad. Familiar territory. My breathing stayed even. I'd respond on my terms, if at all. Jim arrived first with wine, the coworker whose simple note sustained me during the crisis. Now a true friend. Ramirez, off-duty as Sophia, brought straightforward warmth. Neighbors filtered in with dishes and easy conversation. We toasted around the modest table, to homes that are sanctuaries, not sacrifices. Later, after guests left,
The doorbell chimed.
Megan stood alone on the porch, hands in pockets, looking vulnerable like the sister from before life complicated us. I opened but stayed in the doorway. Can we talk? We can, I said, stepping aside. But it's about rebuilding trust. Not money. Recognition flickered. We sat on the porch swing as honest words finally flowed. Her marital struggles. Shame. My boundaries. Old hurts. Tentative new ground. Not everything fixed. But it was real, something our family had traded for lies long ago. Some say I went too far selling the house and creating distance. Others say I didn't cut ties enough. But if your parents secretly turned your home into a paid gathering spot for strangers, funneling profits to your sibling while criticizing your life, would you forgive them completely or walk away to protect your peace? The question lingers like the desert breeze, heavy with the cost of boundaries and the quiet strength found in choosing yourself.